word vomit, inadequacy, embarrassment, insecurity, neediness, and an attempt of a joke. But this last fell flat. This quote was written by Eric Gansworth, mentioned in the novel If I Ever Get Out of Here. This novel is based on a First Nation kid in New York living on a reserve. The story explains the difficulties of the boy dealing with both racism and poverty. This novel is set in 1975, where racism is more common towards First Nation and African American people. If I Ever Get Out of Here is a 359-page fiction novel. This book does not belong to a series. It has a fairly straightforward read, but some parts can get complex. The author likes to include very small details which can be helpful at times, but can also get annoying. This book would be enjoyed by students 12 plus who like an uplifting storyline. The main character of this book is a boy in 7th grade named Lewis. Lewis is different than everyone at his school because of his race. He is a normal kid but gets bullied just because of the color of his skin. Lewis has to face a number of problems every day. He deals with both racism and poverty. He lives on a reserve and he doesn't have very much wealth in his family. He has to go to school every day with a whole class of white kids and get teased and punched. The theme of this book is to not care what people think of you. Just be you. Every day is difficult for Lewis, but he has to learn not to care what other people think. Another lesson is to never give up even if everything is going against you. This book is set in the past. The story takes place in 1975. It is easy to make a picture in your head about what the setting looks like because the author uses lots of details. Personally, this wasn't the greatest book for me. I didn't enjoy it because I couldn't relate to what was happening in the story. This book is on the more sad side of stories. Lewis had to deal with some things that nobody should ever deal with. Lewis's story could inspire some people going through difficult situations. I just couldn't relate to what was happening in his life. The author's writing isn't anything completely different or unique, but it is easy to follow most of the time. I think the author's goal was to teach adolescents that even if you're going through tough times, there is always someone out there that can help you with your struggles. This book also focuses on music. Lewis is a huge fan of music, mainly the Beatles songs. Listening to the music helps Lewis get away from his problems. I thought the story was slow, which made me enjoy it less. The author could have improved the book by adding more events in the storyline. The book included all of the elements it needed, and some parts were repetitive. My favorite part of the book is when Lewis finally made a friend. A kid named George moved to Lewis's school, and they slowly became friends. This part of the book backs up the point that there is always someone out there to help you with your problems. George and Lewis became friends through their love of music, mainly the Beatles. That's why music is such a big part of the story. If I were the author, I would add more big events to keep interest of the reader. I think kids 12 to 16 that are going through difficult times would enjoy this book because they can relate to it more than anyone else. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy this book very much. There were still some good aspects, like it was easy to understand and it kept my attention fairly well while I was reading it. But I couldn't relate to almost anything that was happening in the story. Overall, this book could be helpful for a lot of people, but it wasn't my favorite read.